In 2009, a Bollywood film made India laugh, cry, and sing along. But hidden inside the jokes and the drama was a warning so precise, so specific, that 15 years later it reads less like a screenplay and more like a prophecy. Rancho didn't just challenge one professor in one college, he challenged an entire system. And that system just called his bluff. Today on Flipverse, we explore what three idiots predicted about India's job market and why it's coming true faster than anyone expected. Remember the opening scene. Farhan Qureshi, played by R. Madhavan, explains how he ended up in engineering. He was born at 5:15 p.m. By 5:16 p.m., his father had already decided he would be an engineer. The audience laughed because every Indian family in that cinema knew exactly what that felt like. But here is what the film was actually saying underneath the joke. India was producing engineers not because the country needed that many engineers. India was producing engineers because engineering was the only definition of success that an entire generation of parents understood. And the result of that one cultural assumption played out across millions of families, millions of classrooms, millions of entrance exam coaching centers, is now a crisis so large it has its own name. The Great Indian Engineering Oversupply. India produces 1.5 million engineers every single year. Of those, only around 150,000 are expected to find relevant employment. That is 10%. Read that again. 10%. 83% of engineering graduates in India currently have no job or internship offer. Not because they are not intelligent, not because they did not study hard enough. Because the system that produced them, the same system virus represented in that film, valued the rank, the degree, the certificate, not the capability, not the curiosity, not the actual ability to solve a real problem in the real world. Most colleges haven't updated their syllabuses since 2010. Faculty who have never worked outside academia. Placement cells that send one email to 3 companies in March of the final year. Rancho screamed this from a lecture hall in 2009. India's engineering colleges are still doing exactly what virus told them to do. Here is the flip nobody talks about. In Three Idiots, Chatur is the joke, the rote learner, the memorizer, the one who could recite definitions but couldn't think beyond them. Chatur wins the race, gets the corporate job, the salary, the title, and the film frames him as the cautionary tale. Successful but hollow, but here is what the film couldn't predict. AI just became Chatur. Except it does what Chatur does, 1,000,000 times faster, with zero salary, zero sick leave, and zero emotional needs. Entry-level jobs in tech, debugging, testing, routine software maintenance, standard code writing, the exact jobs India's 1.5 million annual engineering graduates were trained to do, have been replaced by AI. Entry-level hiring at big tech companies has dropped by more than 50% over the last 3 years. The jobs Chatur competed for, AI took them. The skills India's education system spent decades perfecting, memorization, repetition, execution of defined tasks, are now the exact skills that have zero market value. Rancho told us this was coming. We made it into a comedy. The most devastating scene in Three Idiots is not the comedy. It is Joy Lobo, a student under so much pressure from a system that valued output over humanity, that he broke. Between 2017 and 2025, 227 reported cases of suicides among Indian tech workers were documented. A 24-year-old machine learning engineer who had landed a coveted job at a billion-dollar AI startup. A 23-year-old computer engineer in Kerala who sent a video message to his mother saying he could no longer deal with the stress, then jumped from his apartment building. These are not fictional characters. Rising anxiety over AI making careers redundant on top of already grueling 90-hour work weeks has proven devastating for workers. The mental health situation in India's tech industry has been described by experts as very alarming. Joy Lobo was a warning shot in a film. In 2025 and 2026, Joy Lobo is a pattern. So here is the Flipverse question. What if India had actually listened to Rancho in 2009? What if the education system had pivoted from rote learning to real problem solving, from certification to capability, from producing engineers to producing thinkers? The roles that are growing fastest right now are those requiring AI integration skills, complex system design, and domain-specific expertise. Roles that require exactly what Rancho embodied: curiosity, first principles thinking, the ability to engineer a solution nobody gave you a template for. The jobs that AI cannot take are not the ones that require the most memorization. They are the ones that require the most humanity, judgment, creativity, empathy, the ability to ask a question nobody else thought to ask. Rancho's entire character was built on that one idea. And in 2026, that idea is not just a feel-good Bollywood philosophy. It is the only professional survival strategy that actually works. Three Idiots ended with Rancho building a school in Ladakh, where children learned through curiosity, not fear. India's education system is still run by virus. The difference is, in 2009, virus just failed students. In 2026, virus is failing them into a job market that no longer exists for what they were trained to do. The film was never just a comedy. It was a blueprint that nobody followed. And now the bill is due. If this made you think, tell me in the comments. Were you a Rancho or a Chatur in your own education? And do you think India's education system will change before it's too late?